Welcome back to the breakdown of my spec. I remind you that there is a Porsche code in the description section. Thank you for sharing yours, by the way. It's fascinating how different similar builds can be. Previously, I teased you with a render of what I want my car's interior to become eventually. Something very minimalistic, yet pleasant and functional. Today we're going further down the option list and deeper into the decision making. Grab yourself a cup of tea because it's gonna take a while this time. Speaking of the interior, my first must-have is the GT steering wheel with a diameter of 360 millimeters. The standard one may be just 15 mils larger, but it seems enormous to me in such tight space. Funny thing that they are believed to be based on the same structure. I have a friend of mine who's selling wheels online. He claims that the only difference between GT steering wheel and the standard one is the thickness of the padding. So the GT rim is slightly thinner. He actually measured them and he said it's more like 360 versus 370 millimeters in real life size. As a car journalist, I know that the interior design operates on a millimeter scale. Moving anything like half an inch further equals sending it light years away on the exterior scale. Yet it fascinates me how saving 7.5 or even 5 millimeters from each side makes that much difference. Another must-have to me is the full leather trim. It makes immense impact on the perceived quality of the interior. I mean, Porsche plastic is nice, but leather surfaces with slightly uneven stitching make the interior such a nicer place to be in. As I mentioned before, the interior was among the main reasons I went for 718, and I wanted, to be decently expensive. Good news, the full leather trim actually lighter too. According to the factory worker, this is due to the fact that the leather is applied on hollow elements, whereas the plastic ones are foam-filled. Why black though? Well, some people prefer contrasts. You may be just fine with full red leather with all these bits of black plastic standing out. I hate them standing out. No matter the color, I specify my interior in a homogeneous fashion. So for instance, this striking orange over black Speedster would be my nightmare car. To be honest, I have a soft spot for blue leather. I think it's dark enough to let the black trim blend in nicely, but it's bright enough to make any day a bit more colorful. However, Porsche only offers the centerpiece of the GT steering wheel in black. And in the blue environment, it would be just too much of the second color to my eyes. Okay, quick note here. These two tone combinations are great to use with GT steering wheel because black over black obviously looks neatly. These are incredibly good value as well because the expensive deviated stitching option is already included. However, there were two problems that prevented me from ordering any of those two tones combinations. It was very important for me to get rid of as many aluminum bits as possible. There is a great tool for doing just so in the leather section of the configurator. Coded EKC, this option allows you to replace most of the shiny stuff with leather-covered elements. However, in case of a two-tone finish, the decorative cover for the cup holders gets the bright leather wrapping. It kind of breaks the balance between dark and light, but more importantly, the gap between two opening panels becomes too visible. Another reason I couldn't afford to get any of those bright two-tones is that I'm a pig. I can make a mess out of the black one, never mind the gorgeous beige. So yeah, obviously I went for the monochrome. And I'm a bit of a sweaty pig too, so I need a ventilated seat. It's already proven to be a very useful option. The fans run constantly on the lowest speed during the city runs, although the highest speed turned out to be insufficient when on the track. Without a doubt, I would trade the ventilation for the textile upholstery, but unfortunately this brilliant breathing material called Sportex isn't available for 718 anymore. As for a seat itself, the choice has never been that easy. After the middle range bucket seats were dropped, there are only one choice of seats left for the man of my size, which is Sport Seats Plus. And since I don't use adjustable lumbar support or the cushion extension, there is no need for fancy and much heavier 18 ways. I foresee some questions about the standard seat. In my opinion, it's only good if you are too wide to appreciate the bolster's support. For me, it's too hard, too flat. It puts all the pressure on my spine, whereas the Sport Plus seats nicely distribute the load, across the backrest. Packages. We don't have packages in our market, and there is nothing worth mentioning within the option list except the ventilated seats we talk about. Exterior. There is nothing for me in the exterior section except the deletion of model designation. To start with, I don't like the combination of two different fonts. And then I realized that if paint protection film is applied, the logo gets removed anyway. So I left the place clean, keeping in mind that all these logos can be acquired at the local Porsche dealership at any moment. Performance. Surprisingly not much from here either. I would consider optioning the limited slip diff if it came separately from the adaptive suspension like in the older days. But since the PTV and 10mm lowered PASM come in package, I voted in favor of having more ground clearance. I will probably equip my car with a self-locking diff at some point later, but to be honest, within 2 months I haven't experienced any situation where I needed one badly. Although I did see a viewer complaining about his Cayman constantly spinning the inner wheel during his drive up the mountain road. Well, there's clearly an application for the PTV, but don't forget that the most of its job done by braking, and the factory limited slip diff provides only up to, I believe, 27% locking. So mind extensive brake pad wear. Sport Chrono package. In my opinion, there is no need for a Sport Chrono package on a manual car that meets the track only once in a while. The only advantage of Sport Chrono package on the non-PASM car is the auto bleeping function. It adds nothing to the experience if you already know how to hail and toy, and if you don't, then not having Sport Chrono will more likely make you a better driver. Porsche offers dynamic engine mounts on cars with Sport Chrono. The difference they make on base Cayman isn't clear for me yet and is still to be investigated. I'll wait with a final verdict until I drive both cars with Sport Chrono and without side by side. Sport tailpipes in black. Well, these just look right to me. Much better than the standard tailpipe, which has a shape I cannot even pronounce in English. Fuel tank. Well, for the US market, the extended range fuel tank comes only in combination with PDK for some reason. We don't have such a restriction, so I ordered the one with an extra 10 liters of volume, or something like 2.6 gallons. Since my average fuel consumption is about 12 liters per 100 kilometers or some 19 miles per gallon, it gives me an additional of 80 kilometers or 50 miles of range. The power steering. It turned out that every car of 991, 981, 982 generation I ever drove were equipped with Power Steering Plus. It slightly reduces the counter force on steering wheel on the lower speeds. I had no problem with it before, therefore I don't see the reason why not to have it myself. Lights and vision. This is another area where my idea of keeping things simple kicks in. First of all, I really like the clean look of the front bumper without the washer nozzles. Those little spots that rise and sprinkle your headlights, hate them. The only way of not having them is to go for a basic light. Unfortunately, the weak 25 watt bulbs make them only sufficient for city commuting. If you're driving on the highway a lot, please consider upgrading the basic lights with more powerful 35 watt bulbs or order the next level adaptive lights. Please note that top of the line LEDs come with a camera equipped windshield, which is more expensive to repair. I like red stripes at the rear, so no clear taillights for me, thank you. The light design package adds interior lighting, which I find distracting. I have no problem with having to fold the exterior mirrors manually and thereby having less things to go wrong on the car. And the rear wiper, well, the rear wiper is another must-have to me. Foremost as an homage to classic Porsches, of course. You see, the Cayman is an example of a perfectly chosen angle for the rear window. unlike many other cars claimed to be aerodynamically efficient, to keep rear window clear, it actually stays crystal clear most of the time, regardless of the weather, at speed. And the cases for using rear wiper are limited to rare applications while standing still. But every time you have to use it, it feels really satisfying. It's one of those days. Comfort and assistance. Nothing in here except basic cruise control, which is not a part of the standard package for our market. Porsche entry and drive. Well, I have a couple of words on it. As I'm looking for more interaction with my Porsche, I'm not giving up a chance to start the car with inserting the key. I like the key, which is rather busy with buttons. I like the way it's sculptured. I'm enjoying interacting with it, yeah? And the keyless entry is not a solution for me because I usually open the trunk first to drop in my backpack, although it's easier to close with an open side door to let the compressed air out. There are no regulations on our market to have a rear view camera with poor picture quality pre-installed, so I skipped that, as well as front parking sensors, since my PCM module gets removed anyway. No need for watering Apple CarPlay either. The interior section, well, I've already explained it. The GT steering wheel, the ventilated seats, the luggage net, which is weirdly offered for free, is quite useful for storing devices charging from the 12-volt socket nearby. Interior leather package, as I explained, is crucial for getting rid of the shiny stuff. And as for the Porsche crest, well, I think it's just a nice touch, you know, filling up the useless space on the headrest without spending too much. All right, the rest are the things of taste. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions left, please leave them in the comment section below. I think we've covered all the basics. I'm pretty much done with the table and hope to talk to you from behind the wheel next time. Please subscribe, hit the bell to get notified about the future episodes. Take care and have a great time speccing your Porsche.